Hello, good afternoon. I am Emefa Akosiaditi, and thank you for making time with us today on the news. Our headlines this hour: race to the NPP in the 2028 presidential elections takes a heated climax as average results from 8 polls tracked by Joy News Research showing a close contest with 46% for Dr. Bawumia and 38% for Kennedy Japan, with close to 8 of the delegates still unsure of where to place their votes. We have exclusive details of this and more as the countdown to the big day draws near. Also, the Electoral Commission expresses readiness for NPP's presidential primaries as it begins distribution of electoral materials to various polling centers.
Papers that were printed together with the agent of the candidate has been dispatched to the 16 regional capitals. Also secured the albums, which happen to be the registers for the delegates.
And as a majority chief whip Nelson Dafiamekpo takes on the minority over boycott of Chief Justice Bafuboni's courtesy call to Parliament, insisting that the visit was over matters of importance.
Lord Bafuboni on a thank you talk.
Establish special courts to deal with matters of gallantry. For instance, we call them environmental courts. He has decided to detach himself from the governance process and do petty politics with everything.
Meanwhile, the minority rejects allegation that Metro Bus buses were auctioned for as low as 2,500 cedis under previous government, went to NPP cronies.
No movable buses were sold to any cronies. It is a palpable lies.
An MP for Wale calls for full-blown investigation into the latest military assault of a media general, journalists and other civilians as he demands such sanctions for the officers. We have details. We are live on DSTV, channel 421, and GoTV, channel 125, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. Please stay for details. We appreciate your company this afternoon. First, the race to lead the New Patriotic Party in the 2028 presidential election is shaping up as results from 8 polls tracked by the Joy News Research team put Dr. Bawumia at 46%, with Kennedy Japan following closely with 38%. Now, the results also show that a significant number of delegates remain undecided. Head of research here at Joy News, Isaac Ofieje, joins me in studio with exclusive details. Kofi, what's the data saying?
Well, so MFR, this is different from the normal or traditional polls that we know. So what we did was to, sample 8 polls from Global Info Analytics. We took 3 polls, 3 of their recent polls, 3 polls from Sanity Africa, 1 poll from Africa, Policy Lens, and 1 poll from Dr. Evans Edua. And what we did was that we decided to use a poll aggregator, which is popular in the US, to try and test what is going on as far as this, the race to lead the NPP in 2028 is concerned. So 8 polls is what we are going to base our findings from. Now, after these polls, what we realize is that if you look at, the aggregator, what the aggregator is telling you from the 3 polls from Global Info Analytics, 3 from, Sanity Africa and Policy Lens and Dr. Dia, what you see is that Dr. Bawumia currently, according to the average of the polls we've put together, his numbers currently stands at 45.86%, roughly 45.9%. Kennedy Japan is around 37%. Brian Echampon is around 5.64%. Dr. Yaosei Duchum 2%. Kpandai Japan 1%. And you have 8% who still remain undecided. Okay. Now, based on the polls that we actually track, what are they saying? In terms of Global Info Analytics, Sanity Africa, and all of them, how did each of them, poll in terms of the predictions or what the delegates are saying? if you look at the 8 polls that we've looked at so far, 4 currently are predicting a win for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, with 3 of them all being from Global Info Analytics. Very, very important to know that, because in terms of regularity of the polls, we know that it's Global Info Analytics that has been very regular in terms of releasing polls upon polls and polling different, election outcomes in the country. So 3 from there, all predicting a win for Dr. Bawumia, but still put it in context that we have a significant number of undecided, voters. And in terms of 4 also for Kennedy Ejapon, and we still have 8%, based on what we've tracked from all the polls, 8% of the delegates are still undecided or have decided not to disclose where their vote is going to be.
What does this figure or this number mean for both front runners?
Well, in fact, looking at the 50% plus or minus 1, if you look at what we have so far, none of them, according to the aggregator that we have put together, has been able to get 50% plus or minus 1. And so if that is the case, then it means that those who are going to decide the outcome of the election will be this 8%, at least 8%, it could be more, 8% undisclosed, delegates who currently have not made a decision where their vote is going to be, because if you're able to eat from this big pie, it determines where you'll be or what you get at the end of the election.
But it also depends the number that you have already.
Absolutely.
So this 8, no matter how much bigger pie you can take, it really will still be favorable to one person more than the other.
Exactly. It could be, but in terms of the 2 front runners, all of them, if you're able to get all the 8%,
it can go to any of them.
It makes a big difference. But what is the picture looking like? Tracking what was, put out in 2023, what we had in 2023, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia going into this election with, 61% from the previous election, closely, monitored again, contested by Kennedy Ejapon, 37%. And many have said that the coming on board of Brian Echampon, Dr. Yaose Duchum, and even Kpandai Ejapon can actually mean a lot to how the numbers will pan out, especially Bawumia's numbers of 61%. But there are those who still believe that Bawumia could pull somewhere about 61%. What we've tracked so far shows that in terms of first attempt of all MPP presidential primaries, this is the highest any of them has ever gotten. 61% for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, but he's still facing 8% undecided registered voters or delegates who will determine where the election will be on Saturday.
The few days to the final day wouldn't mean anything at all. It means that both front runners should attack the 8%. those in that poll.
8% plus even your base, because momentum to vote or propensity to vote is very, very important. Ability to hit people to come out, come and vote, delegates, very, very important. So whilst you're targeting the undecided, you should be able to also galvanize your base of people who traditionally will support you.
Kofi, you're a champion. Thank you so much. Now, the Electoral Commission says it is fully prepared for the new patriotic party's presidential primaries as it begins the nationwide distribution of electoral materials to designated voting centers. The internal election scheduled for Saturday, January 31, will commence at 7 a.m., with polls expected to close as early as 2 p.m. to allow for early counting of ballots. Speaking to Joy News, the Deputy Director of Research at the Commission, Fred Tete, says all critical election materials, particularly ballot papers, are being dispatched and are expected to reach their respective centers by close of day, assuring a smooth conduct of the exercise.
Logistics. So far, ballot papers that were printed together with the agent of the candidate has been dispatched to the 16 regional capitals, for which they are being distributed by close of day to all the 276 constituencies across the nation. We've also secured the albums, which happen to be the registers for the delegates. Those things are together with the ballot papers, which has been distributed. Other materials also are ready. For personnel, our district officers and their office staff are the personnel to handle the elections on the D-Day. For arrangement, one, what we know per the album that was given to us has close to 212,000 voters, and we've created 333 polling stations or polling centers where these voters will be voting. The election will start at 7, as you know, and will end at 2 p.m. in the afternoon to make room for the counting at the polling station or the polling centers, and then the results will be announced.
Fretete also urged all candidates and delegates to embrace transparency and peaceful process.
As the NPP is being a major player in our political space, we expect the delegate to go through this process peacefully. It is just an election. It is nothing more than an election. So we appeal to people to comport themselves and to go this process peacefully. So that at the end of the day, they will have their choice.
Well, now let's turn to the camps of some of the presidential aspirants ahead of the NPP primaries. Presidential hopeful Kpandai says he is prepared to accept any outcome of the contest, even as several opinion polls to other candidates as front runners. Speaking on PM Express with Evans Mensah, he says he has mentally prepared himself for the results, whether he wins or loses.
And it costs a lot of money to do polls, so I'm surprised that certain pollsters can virtually give you weekly polls, you know, to travel around 276 constituencies and administer proper questionnaires and get a proper sample size. That must cost some money. So I'm beginning to feel that this is psychological operations, you know, calculated to rather fashion the thinking and the direction of the delegates rather than an expression of their preference for now. So yes, I don't dismiss them, but at the end of the day, I'm a very focused person. I believe in an election, it's not like a football game. You know, it's either you win or you do not win. And you have to prepare yourself emotionally for either outcome, which is what I have done.
I'll take you back to other contenders, but let's take you back to that data by Joy News, which Kofi Adjei just presented to you. Now, on the back of that, let me engage Musa Dankwa. He is Chief Executive Officer of Global Info Analytics, whose poll really is quite close to the aggregator that Kofi Adjei and the team used, and he's joining us via Zoom. Thank you, sir, for joining us this afternoon. So my colleague has just put together all of the polls that have been happening over the period, and it looks as though the aggregator suggests it is quite close to yours. What does our data as well say in terms of yours, to you?
You know, when it comes to aggregation of polls, in fact, the more we have that kind of aggregation, the better. But in this country, we haven't got that. But we will do what we have. But clearly, if you compare the aggregator with our tracking poll, you may see some similarities and kind of trend. So for us, we are very confident that the aggregators are correct. And what we are showing is correct.
Okay, what's different about this year's primaries? Of course, the contenders are quite different from the previous ones, but what's that one different thing about this year's?
I think the only difference is the presence of one candidate who is much stronger than any other we've had in the last election.
Who would that be?
Brian Achampo.
Okay.
I mean, Brian Champo is much better and stronger candidate than any of the previous ones. So he is the key in this election. And if you look at what has happened in the polling last week, I mean, we've seen a fluidity in the polling number with regards to Canada and Japan, and he tends to benefit from that fallout. Clearly, we've never seen that in the last election that was close as well. I
mean, knowing what you know about these candidates, how much of Brian's presence has an impact on Dr. Bawumia's 61% previously and Kennedy Japan's 37% previously? How much of it does it have an impact on both?
It has a good impact, huge impact. If you look at the data we published recently, you can see that 6% of Brian votes are coming from Bawumia. So if you take 6% of what Bawumia got last time, it's quite big. And then also about 5% comes from Kennedy. In the projections that we have, you see that a lot more in the later days are coming from Kennedy than Bawumia. And certainly, at the end of the day, we can see Brian jubilating, even though he may not win. Whereas Kennedy and Bawumia will not be happy with whatever they got, or whatever they will get.
The 8 undecided, who should concern themselves? Which candidates should concern themselves most about this 8% undecided voters?
The undecided voters normally tend to flow with the population of the delegates who are going one way. So whoever is leading will get most of the undecided voters. And the thing is that if you don't keep your campaign steady and you wobble, you may lose more of them if you are a challenger and you lose track. Okay.
The 2 front runners, who is likely to eat from whose bowls in the last days?
Sorry, can I repeat that question again?
So the 2 front runners, Kennedy Japan and Dr. Bawumia, who is likely to eat from who in terms of numbers in these last days?
Unfortunately, none. Because Bawumia seems to have a steady number, people who are committed to him, and his numbers has plateaued a bit. What we are seeing now is rather a dogfight between Kennedy Japan and Brian Achampo. If you watch what happened last week, the issue about the Kennedy video making rounds, that has cost him some numbers, and those numbers are not going to Bawumia, or are not going to Brian Achampo.
I see. That's interesting. Maybe finally your poll says that 48. The current one says 48, or maybe for Dr. Bawumia, but it's still not above 50%. Who definitely do you think is winning on Saturday?
If you use our predictions, we are predicting Bawumia on 57%, despite being 48 on the headline poll. This is based on information we have and the modeling we have done. We are quite confident about Bawumia's numbers. Not much so about Kennedy and Brian, because their numbers are still fluid and moving at the moment.
Thank you so much for joining us on the news. Mr. Dankwa is CEO for Global Info Analytics. Now, let's stay on elections because Kpandai constituency is preparing for tomorrow's Supreme Court's potential ruling. Now, the political future of the Kpandai constituency is expected to be known tomorrow, as the Supreme Court is expected to provide ruling on an application seeking to quash a Tamale High Court ruling from November 2025, which annulled his 2024 election victory and ordered a fresh poll within 30 days. Now, let's go up north and engage our correspondent, Martina Bugiri, on this more. Martina, what's really the mood ahead of tomorrow, the ruling that Kpandai constituency is expecting from the Supreme Court tomorrow?
So for the people of Kpandai, it's a normal day for them. People are going about their duties. But I'm also mindful that tomorrow is the big day. Tomorrow is the judgment day that will decide the fate of their constituency. Some are rooting for the current and some are rooting for the MPP candidate, Matthew Nindam, saying that he was already in Parliament and so he should be made to continue. Whilst others are also rooting for the NDC candidate because they believe that the elections were flawed. And so largely, yes, these are the two sides. But if you speak to some also, all they are asking for is peace. At the end of it, their constituency will remain united, a peaceful one, so that they can get the necessary development that they want. But we are also being told from the grounds, the two political parties, the executives, those who really matter in the constituency, are heading to Accra to join their national executives and regional for the judgment tomorrow.
So we're learning that some constituents or party executives are headed to Accra tomorrow for the hearing. Is this true?
Yes, like I said already, they are heading to Accra. So when you go to the party offices, to both the NDC and the MPP party offices, as we speak, the two offices are closed. And we are told that the leadership or the constituency leadership are heading to Accra.
Well, thank you so much. Accra is ready to take delivery of them. We are your election headquarters. You're watching news today. Now, the Majority Chief Whip of Parliament, Roxton Nelson Eche Dafiamekpo, has taken on his colleague, the Minority, over their boycott of the meeting between Chief Justice Paul Bafoboni and Parliament on Monday. The Minority announced their decision to boycott the meeting during a media engagement on the basis of their challenges with the CJ's appointment, describing the visit as a thank you tour. Here is Minority Leader Alexander Penyamakin.
A rubber stamp parliament where everything comes under certificate of agency. Yes. Yes. They should be ready to beat us in the chamber. We will resist with all the energy in us. Yes. No more certificate of agency. Yes. Is my Lord Bafuboni on a thank you tour, thanking the government for appointing him as a Chief Justice. And we hear today he is coming to Parliament. We, the minority, don't see him as a tolerant head of the judiciary, because members of the minority came under attack when we criticized the processes leading to his nomination.
Majority Chief Whip Roxton Nelson Dafiamekpo says the minority was wrong in accusing the CJ of embarking on a thank you tour, as he shares details of why the CJ called on the Speaker, the police and the Finance Ministry.
Including that he wants to introduce a morning session and an afternoon session in the court proceedings, so that a court will sit from 8 a.m. to about 1:30 p.m., and then another judge will take it over from 2 p.m. to about 6 p.m. These are the reforms that the CJ is introducing to ensure that cases are expeditiously heard. Okay. The complaint is that there are too many cases clogging the wheels of the wheels of justice from grinding. Establish special courts to deal with matters of galamsey. For instance, we call them environmental courts. How is that this amount to a thank you tour? Because you see, he has decided to detach himself from the governance process and do petty politics with everything. Visiting the IGP to request for a permanent police presence within the premises of the Supreme Court and the other courts. How is that not a good reform? Again, he's visited the Minister of Finance to engage him in respect of some limited accommodation facilities they had for some Court of Appeal judges. And so they are looking for more support to be able to provide for some of these Court of Appeal judges. How is this out of order? Again, some of our Superior Court judges do not even have official vehicles. So how wrongful is this on the part of the CJ in engaging the Minister of Finance from early in the year, a matter of politics?
Now, the Tano River, once the sacred pulsing heart of Techiman, has been reduced to a desolate scar of cracked mud and waste, a crisis that is flooding homes, spreading disease, and severing a community from its heritage. In this exclusive Joy News documentary narrated by Anas Sabit, we trace how unchecked urbanization and brutal whip of the climate change conspired to kill a lifeline, and witness the defiant spark of hope as a band of young volunteers, the City Boys, wage a gritty hands-on war to bring the river back from the brink.
This was what the end of a lifeline looks like. Once this river carved stories into this land, it carried canoes, quenched thirst, and cradled life. Its name was whispered with respect, Tano. Today, it is a whisper of what was, a ghost of itself. I am Anas Sabit, and in the next few minutes, we will follow this river's trail from its sacred source to its shameful end to answer one urgent question. How did Techiman's beaten heart become its open wound? And is there any pulse of life left to save?
It's sad to see the state of the Tano River now. When we were young, the Tano River was revered, and going to the river was very beautiful, and it was very nice going near the place. You know, Tano River has different types of fishes. They were colored, so everybody wanted to go and see them. But now, the river is no more there. I think the river is now a gutter.
That transformation from queen to gutter is not a natural disaster. It is a human-made crisis, and its consequences are being felt most by those who depend on the river for their very survival. Assemblyman for Tano, Honorable Zakaria Mohammed, shares how the people here are suffering from this unsafe drinking water, with the community seeing a sharp rise in its typhoid, severe diarrhea illnesses, and cholera.
About 3 or 4 years ago, Tano and its environment recorded the highest cholera outbreak during the rainy season, simply because we were resorting to the rivers, whereby when it rains, the erosion carries dirty items, indiscriminate defecation into these rivers, and this river serves as a source of water for our community members. You can imagine health-wise, it's not the best.
Area head of the Environmental Protection Agency, Osman Young, shares some key contributors to the current situation.
We are standing here on the banks of the Tano River in Techiman. But we can also see clearly that the Tano, which used to be a major river, and then taking its source from this part of the country, now is reduced to something like a seasonal stream, which is not the best. This is due to number one, encroachment from urbanization. So if you just look ahead here, about 30 meters away from where I'm currently standing, there are a lot of houses which have encroached the riparian buffer that protects the Tano River. And so once people cut the native trees and clear the vegetation, they open up the soil surface to the harsh environmental or weather conditions.
Regional Environmental Health Officer Lamti Jan says the continuous contamination of the Tano River is a public health catastrophe in the making.
If you look at the Tano, it's dammed and treated to supply potable water to the people of Techiman and its environment. So if we are found defecating at one end of it, then the institution, that is Ghana Water Company, requires more of resources to treat. So we are urging those who have taken those bodies at their defecating site to desist from it.
In the face of this colossal challenge, however, a new generation is refusing to surrender. They are the city boys, and they have declared that the fate of their city is inextricably linked to the fate of this river. Abdulhamid, popularly known as Ice Papa, is the leader of the group.
And we as selfless volunteers have taken upon ourselves that we will restore this Tano River to bring it back to life, to its normal shape, to its normal purpose, what it was usually meant for. So today we are here basically to give this place a very unique look. We want to bring the old Tano back again. We want to revive all these river sites.
Abdulhamid says all the group needs is the support of those in authority, and the time to act is now.
We are pleading to Nananom to come to our aid, and all the stakeholders, the minister, the MP, Honorable Matiaje Mensah, and the mayor, they should come together. People who also have Techiman in their heart, so that we can revive this river, this Tano River again.
Anna Sabit, Joy News, Techiman.
This story is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with CDKN Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from CLARE R41 Opportunities Fund.
Now, several traders at the Anglo market in Kumasi are counting their losses after a devastating fire gutted a large section of the market on Monday night. The blaze destroyed nearly half of the market, leaving many traders in distress. As their shops and their goods were reduced to ashes, it comes barely 24 hours after a similar incident destroyed properties at a cluster of mechanic shops at the Sofo line. There's more in this report.
Traders count their losses and salvage the little items left untouched hours after an inferno swept through the Angla market in Kumasi. It's unclear what ignited the blaze, but destroyed nearly half of the market, leaving many traders in distress as their shops and goods were reduced to ashes. The blaze started around 10 p.m. on Monday, destroying parts of the market. After battling the blaze for several hours, the Ghana National Fire Service ultimately put the blaze under control. According to eyewitnesses, the fire started at the section of the footwear manufacturers where flammable materials are usually kept. 650 pairs. 650 pairs of shoes and slippers have been destroyed. We won't forgive anyone who caused this. I sell ladies' footwear. Some of us had nearly finished making them, and this has happened. My goods worth 50,000 cedis have been destroyed. More than 50,000. The fire incident is the second recorded in the area within 2 weeks this year. Assembly member for the area, Daniel Otuo Echampong, is worried over the incessant fire incidences, describing it as alarming. We are advising everyone to be cautious. The assembly will be here to assess the situation. Affected traders appealed to the authorities to conduct a thorough investigation into the incident to establish its cause and bring those responsible to book. Government should come to our aid. Joseph Obin's report for Joy News.
Ghana's ambassador to Nigeria has formally filed nominations to contest the Yawasu East constituency. Let's take a listen as he engages the media after that nomination filing.
Today, I have officially presented my documents to the regional office. The region has gone through, they have accepted my documentation, everything is complete, and has handed over my copy to me. I've also been informed that tomorrow there will be a vetting for all those candidates that will be presenting their documents. I want to thank all of you, the press, for following up with this. Those who think and continue to ask why Baba Jamal is coming back and leaving Nigeria as a high commissioner and coming down to take the title of honorable, let me make it clear that my motivation is not materialistic. My motivation is humanism and service to people. I am motivated to come down and serve my people. Even though I am serving the nation out there, I can assure you that there is a greater tax on me to come and serve my people. I believe my presence here will be more useful to my people and also to the nation even than my service at Nigeria. Not because I don't regard what is in Nigeria. I hold that position in high esteem. But when duty calls, where you are needed more, you need to respond to it. So I'm responding to the several calls by my people to come down and serve them. Inshallah, I will continue to serve them in good faith, with all my heart and with all my strength. Inshallah. Thank you very much.
Watching news today, please stay. That's business.
Welcome back to Business here on Joy News today. My name is Winston Taki, and out of first business story. The Mim Ahafo Community Cooperative Credit Union has recorded a strong financial performance for the 2024 fiscal year, posting a net surplus of more than 2 million cedis, including reserves. The announcement was made at the union's 11th annual general meeting held at Mim in the Asumafo North Municipality of the Ahafo region. Emmanuel Edujenfi has more in this report.
Held on the theme, Credit Union, the builder for tomorrow's financial prosperity, the meeting called on residents to strengthen their savings culture as a means of securing future livelihoods. As at December 31, 2024, the Mim Ahafo Community Cooperative Credit Union recorded a total membership of 24,764, representing a 6% increase over the previous year, with a staff strength of 31. The credit union operates agencies in Goso, Kasapin, Ayumso, Bediakun, Bitri, and Dominase, expanding access to financial services within the municipality and its surrounding communities. During the period under review, the union also received national recognition, winning an award for compliance and prudential reporting in the median category at the 2024 Biennial Conference of the Department of Cooperatives. Chairman of the Board of Directors, Frank Chebafo, highlighted the successes recorded in the 2024 financial year.
I think we had the audit report, a very successful one, because there was a profit of about 2 million Ghana cedis for the year under review, that is the year 2024. And members were very, 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 very happy because at least they are going to enjoy 20% of the net surplus.
Now, away from that, the government will roll out a major policy initiative aimed at helping the country benefit more from the surge in gold prices. Gold is currently trading at $5,088 an ounce. Details in the following report.
The policy document, which is currently being finalized, should help shape and guide the country's response to the recent development on the international market when it comes to the price of gold. The formal announcement could be made by the Finance Minister, Dr. Atuforsen, or the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama. One of the areas that the policy would look at is whether the Bank of Ghana could increase its reserves, not necessarily by buying more dollars, but purchase more gold, so let's balance the reserve position with a mix of dollars and that of gold. So going forward, we will see a mix of dollars and gold through the domestic purchase program. The move has been influenced by the current developments on the international market that are seeing the price of gold hit more than $5,000 an ounce. Another document seen by Joy Business again shows that the price of gold on the international market could be going up further in the coming months for this year. Therefore, government wants to make sure that there is a policy document that would guide any action that it would take going forward, so that they are not overtaken by events.
That'll be all for business. My name is Winston Taki. We have more news for you after this break.
Now, several buildings within the Chado enclave have been pulled down as part of the ongoing demolition exercise in the Ladadekotopon municipality of the Greater Accra region. Now, today's exercise follows a similar one carried out along the Teshi Bush Road on Monday, aimed at protecting the Pishi Lagoon and reducing the risk of flooding. My colleague Gemma Apia is at Chado and reports.
It's day 2 of the ongoing demolition exercise within the Ladadekotopon municipality. On Monday, NATMO and the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council were at Teshi Bush Road, where they demolished a number of structures along that stretch. This is to prevent a future flood. Today, NATMO is within the Chado enclave, pulling down some buildings. I'm here with the Director General of NATMO, Dr. Joseph Kayo, who is going to tell us more about today's exercise. Doc, welcome to Joy News.
Thank you very much.
On Monday, we saw that you pulled down several structures along the Teshi Bush Road. Today, we are within Chado. How many buildings have you pulled down, and what exactly do you aim to achieve with this demolition exercise?
Thank you. Yesterday, we were at Bush Road. Today, we are here. As part of the continuing exercise to free our lagoon and its tributaries of encroachment. So yesterday we were able to clear the Bush Road up to the point where we think is enough a buffer for the lagoon. And so today we are here. It's a river that links to the lagoon. And then we realize, you see, even where we are standing and doing the interview, you see that place, the trees. This place was covered by trees, just like that place. But me and you, we've come to cut down the trees and we fill this place for construction work. It's supposed to be a riverbed. It's supposed to be a place for water. The next phase is to clear all debris from the demolition sites. All the rubble will be cleared, and then we can have a clear view of the land.
What happened this morning?
In fact, it's very shocking and heartbroken. Although, like 1 week ago, they were coming here that they will come and demolish this place. But we don't know exactly what they want there. But at the beginning, we thought it was just something that they are saying. Maybe it will not affect us. But recently, last week, they said they will come on Thursday. Then Thursday, they came and made an announcement that they will come on Monday. They were not able to come Thursday. So yesterday, they started the work at other places. Today, we are here. This morning, we saw their bulldozer here. But even we are begging them, they should consider us. We don't have anywhere to go. Right now, you are demolishing, no compensation. Oh, please take this one and find somewhere to live. That one we will understand. But right now, we have, and then there is homeless. Right now, we are homeless. Look at everyone. They are standing there. They are looking for somewhere to go.
And it's time now for Showbiz. I am Lois Shola Adeyemi. Now, American YouTube star and global streamer IShowSpeed wrapped up his Ghana visit yesterday after a high-energy live stream that placed the country in front of millions worldwide. During his tour, Speed visited Ikropon, where he was given a Ghanaian name, explored national landmarks, including the Independence Square and the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Museum, and stopped at the Bukum Boxing Arena to connect with Ghana's rich sporting culture. He also toured a Sherbata village, highlighting local craftsmanship and everyday community life. The live stream captured Ghana's vibrant culture, history, and youthful energy, reinforcing the country's growing influence in global digital entertainment.
Mal accompagné, pas vrai. Où est ton papa? Dis-moi où est ton papa? Sans même devoir lui parler, il sait ce qui ne va pas. Ah sacré papa, dis-moi où es-tu caché? Ça doit faire au moins 1000 fois que j'ai compté mes doigts. Hey. Ute, papa, ute, papa, ute, papa, ute, papa, ute.
Right, I have my colleague Kenneth Awoche in studio with me. And Kenneth, how are you doing? I wanted to know what stood out most to you about IShowSpeed's experience in Ghana?
So what stood out for me the most was how much of togetherness was seen among Ghanaians put behind one person who does not even, doesn't ply his trade over here, just here to visit and see how things were going. But Ghanaians really rallied around the flag to make sure that the event that he was coming to do was successful. So for me, the kind of love that was, put behind that and the energy that was channeled into ensuring that Ghana is portrayed in the best light possible for the world at large to see. That was what basically stood out for me as a viewer.
Yeah, I also agree. But what do you think this visit means for Ghana's global image?
We know how a lot of countries invest in projecting their image globally. We've seen so many campaigns that governments have pushed into. Ghana, we have this image that we are pushing, like December in GH that we just celebrated. We know that the government is also making so much effort into ensuring that the diasporans return. We've seen that over the past 3-4 years. And there's so much money that's going into making those things possible. So the fact that a streamer such as Speed with so much following, he has about 50 million followers on Twitch alone, and on YouTube alone, he has another 50 million. If we put that together, that's 100 million.
Yeah.
We are just a little over 32 million in Ghana. So you can imagine how many people are looking at the stream and seeing how rich the heritage that Ghana has to portray, the culture that we have. And you can see how many people are becoming aware of this fact and will make informed decisions going forward in terms of their itinerary for travel, among other things, based off of what they have seen Speed do, because they want to replicate something similar, because he is a global star. He has so much following, and there are people that follow him that would like to do exactly what he does. If he says anything, there are people that are willing to take decisions based off of that. So that's something that we are looking to see going into the future.
We all watched the stream and we all saw people, some of the people react to how Ghana looked. But I'm telling you that some people even said that Ghana looked, or they thought that Ghana was a village until they saw the stream. We have Ghanaian streamers, young Ghanaian streamers. How can they own our stories, tell our stories the right way, so that such thoughts can be taken out and people understand that Ghana really is rich when it comes to culture, talent, music, food, and all of that. So how can we use our streaming or our streamers to push such messages?
So I'm even excited that you bring this up, because at the beginning of the stream that Speed was doing, we saw that he was in the Eastern region where he was Christian, he was given the name, the local name, he was very excited about. Yes. All of the grandeur that accompanied that, and the traditions and those little things that he was doing. The libation and all of those things. There were things that people in Ghana, there are people that live in Ghana that have not actually experienced that before. Right. When he was flying from Accra to Accra, people were looking at the stream and seeing how Ghana looked from the top during that commute. Yeah. Actually, it was one of the most tracked flights. That helicopter was one of the most tracked flights yesterday. All of these things are little nuances that local streamers who are trying to build a following and trying to create genuine content can look at and emulate. There are so many other things that Speed did not touch on because, of course, there wasn't enough time. There are so many other things that are around in the country that are genuine enough and portray the African culture that they can tap into and also portray that to their following. And eventually, they're also going to get to that stage where he is now, that we are all celebrating at the moment.
Right. Finally, what does this mean for tourism? Because if there's anything, we were able to see certain sites, like you mentioned. So what does that mean for us, and how can we still keep pushing Ghana to the world?
So from the jump, in 2024, based on the report that the Tourism Ministry put out, the Ghana Tourism Report, it was indicated that about $4.8 billion was made in terms of international travels into Ghana alone. That was without Speed's inclusion. That was without all of the pomp and pageantry we've seen now. What the significant difference is going to be is the age demography of people that are now going to troop into Ghana, because his following are made mostly of Gen Zs, and then, the age bracket that's before them, maybe a bit of the higher Gen Alphas. Yeah. They are the ones that usually, they form about 70% of the people that follow him. Usually we know Ghana is a destination for Africa. the age demographic that usually come here are usually within the millennial area with people that have a lot of disposable income to do some of these things. But now, the younger people who are now seeing this from the diaspora are able to now see that there are other opportunities for travel and experiences. Even though they are not at the age that they can make informed decisions based on themselves, they can tell their parents that, oh, mom, I saw Speed do this. Initially, they wouldn't have had an example to show their parents that, because their parents might also be misinformed based on the specialty they have about Africa. But now they have evidence to prove to their parents that this is actually a place that's civilized and has rules, laws governing them. And they have people that are just like you and me. And so I think we are going to see a significant hike in terms of the age bracket, the younger population, trooping more into Ghana to experience the culture like their older colleagues have been doing so.
Right. Well, thank you, Kenneth. And that is it for Showbiz. I am Loishola Adeyemi. For more entertainment stories, please do log on to myjoyonline.com. Over to you, MFI. Did you watch the stream yesterday?
I watched the report, and you and Kenneth have just put it in a better perspective for me. Thank you so much. So now I get to follow what
IShowSpeed.
Well, in wrapping the bulletin, Asanko Gold Mines has raised the alarm over the increasing use of cyanide by illegal miners within the Amensia district of the Ashanti region, describing the practice as a serious threat to its operations, public health, and the environment. Now, the company says investigations have revealed that illegal miners operating in the Amensia enclaves are using cyanide to extract gold from ore, a method that poses severe risk to miners and residents in surrounding communities.
During a tour by the Parliamentary Select Committee on Environmental Protection, the Managing Director of Asanko Gold Mines, Dr. Charles Amwa, said the uncontrolled use of cyanide is contaminating water bodies, including boreholes, and disrupting the company's mining activities. He further alleged that the cyanide is smuggled into the country from some West African states, calling for tighter border controls to curb the illegal importation of the chemical. Dr. Amwa explained that illegal miners dig ponds and use them as leaching vats to extract gold, a process he said poses a major environmental and health risk to nearby communities.
Our recent findings indicate the illegal mining people have resorted to the use of cyanide. Cyanide is dangerous if you don't handle it with all the controls that it deserves. Got the ability to pose as a danger to lives, and it affects lives through either the water or through the food that are cultivated around the area.
And that's how we wrap the bulletin. I am MFA Akosiadeti. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Thank you for watching.
And authority.
Some of the young, 3,000 now.